Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. Welcome to the Nonprofit Connector. If you just entered in the past minute or so, feel free to say hi in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from, as well as the work that you want to be doing. This is one of our favorite events of the year. We're super excited because we have some amazing speakers. We're having an opportunity to be able to connect people from different sectors in the nonprofit space. And then we have really amazing organizations that we want to tell you about who are sponsoring the event and also providing some really good resources. My name is Marco Salazar, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Be Social Change. And then we also have Jennifer Lashansky.
Hey everyone, my name is Jen Lashansky. I'm the Chief Engagement Officer here at Be Social Change, nonprofiteer, career woman, and super grateful to all of you for taking the time out of your busy nonprofit lives and being here with us. It's really interesting to be hosting this connector right now at this moment in time, because we've been hearing from a lot of organizations that though nonprofits are always building the plane while flying it, right now, things take on another whole level. And to engage in capacity building when there's a lot of competing other interests at heart is a true sign and testament of not only the nonprofits that you work for, but the individuals that you are for being here and being part of this. So just saying a huge thank you to everybody for being here.
Awesome. And then a big, huge thank you to the Tomiak Foundation and classy.org. You're going to be hearing from them in a bit, but thank you to them for being sponsors. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do all the work that we do. So let's go ahead and kick it off. We'd love to hear from you. If this is your first Be Social Change event, this is how we kick off all of our events. And we just want to do a pulse check. So feel free to share one word in the chat about how you're doing right now. That could be this week, that could be today, that could be in this moment right now, but we'd love to hear from you just to get a sense of how you're doing right now.
So I have the lucky fortune of choosing our word that we ourselves are feeling our pulse check for Be Social Change every month. And the word that comes to mind around this event is anticipation. Anticipation for sharing some resources for the rest of the year. We know that the fourth quarter is like go time for all nonprofits. And so we ourselves are feeling a sense of anticipation. I'm also feeling anticipation because we are getting ready to announce our programming calendar for the brand new year. And with that always comes a lot of excitement and a lot of buzz around what we're going to be doing and continuing to further hone our events as well as our systems and resources for the social impact space, especially nonprofiteers. So anticipatory is what I'd say. Marcos, how are people feeling?
Well, I guess I'll share that in a bit. And I would just say that as well as Jen as well. Some of the things that you said is that I think this year, like many of you out there, has been a year of adaptation, of pivoting and learning and then reimagining. I think that's the thing. And I'm excited about some of the things that we're going to be doing in the next 6 months to a year as we're engaging with our community and learning what they truly want and truly need right at the moment. So there's going to be a lot of really interesting events and new ways of doing things for Be Social Change. So in the same way, I'm have that level of anticipation. And I think it's always a combination of grateful, excellent, pumped, tired, busy. Some people are discouraged, curious, overwhelmed. That's a typical one. Open-minded, hopeful, excited, anxious. And I think one of the things that's always interesting about the feelings of overwhelming and being anxious is that we don't know. Things seem to change week by week, sometimes day by day. And we're always constantly in a little bit of a fight or flight mode because we're always trying to adapt. But I think one of the exciting things about, and what we try to do with these events, is that when you're able to make a connection and even share resources and build new relationships, that helps to buffer a lot of that anxiety and that sense of overwhelm, that feeling of connectedness. And that's one of the things that I love about these events, is being able to help facilitate that. So awesome. Thank you all for sharing. And if those of you are new, is anybody new to Be Social Change, our mission is to help people make your greatest impact through your career and lifestyle. So we host regular events, so weekly events, weekly webinars and workshops to help people build the skills and find the connections they need to be social change in their career and their lifestyle. So hopefully this is your first of many, many events. Hopefully you become a Be Social Change member, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. But know that we are one of your go-to resources for everything social impact when it comes to skills, connections, and resources. So this is what we're going to be doing today, and this is the schedule. So we're going to hear from social impact leaders in the nonprofit sector, and hear about some of the amazing work that they're doing. Then we're going to dive into some facilitated networking, and we're going to do 2 rounds of this. So if you are new to the types of facilitated networking we do with these connectors, we are going to actually do a couple things in Zoom, and we'll give all instructions, but we're going to have people rename themselves and categorize themselves so that you connect with like-minded people or people that are working in similar areas. And Jen on the back end is going to do all that, and then magically you're going to appear in breakout groups with those people. And then we're going to come back and do a large share. So we're going to be doing 2 rounds of that. The group share is going to be sharing ideas or resources or people that you met in your groups. And then we're going to open it up just for some Q&A and some discussion, and then talk about what's coming up next with Be Social Change. So a couple ways on how you can make the most of this event. So share and connect in the chat. So the chat's going to be super active. People are going to be sharing ideas, resources. So be sure to connect. There's going to be an opportunity later on, but if you want to share your LinkedIn profile link, that's great. And then at the end, we're going to ask everybody to do that. And everybody who does that, we're going to share that in a follow-up email. But definitely connect in the chat, ask questions, provide some thoughts. Be sure to turn on your video during the networking portion. You may not necessarily be Zoom ready and still in your pajamas. And that is okay. It's just going to be easier to connect because you're going to be face-to-face. It's not required, but you might want to be thinking about turning on your video. And then feel free to like us on social media. Jen will post some links there in a bit. And that's where we highlight our events as well as opportunities and resources. So on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So good ways to make the most out of the event. So we're going to do this multiple times. We're going to do this right before our interactive networking, but this is what we'd love for you to do. Our first set of networking is going to be by issue area. So what you're going to do is you're going to hover over your face or your square, and you're going to see 3 dots. And if you haven't done this before, that you click on the 3 dots and it says rename, and you're able to rename yourself. Oops, sorry about that. You're going to be able to rename yourself. So when you rename yourself, you're going to put the issue area that you are interested in. So right now, if you're looking at me, I am going to put education. I'm going to put actually health and wellness, and then once you press, let me see real quick. Then once you press rename, you're going to have that there. So then what's going to happen is that right before we're going to do the networking, Jen's going to look at everybody and then place people in those appropriate groups. Again, pick right now. If you don't get a chance to pick right now, that's totally fine. There'll be another opportunity to do that. But it would be great if you help us do that right at the beginning. Oh, go for it, Jen.
Just wanted to say, we know that this is not an completely inclusive list of all of the issue areas where you all are doing incredible work. This is like trying to select just a few. We know that you might even have competing issue areas. Please choose one for now. There will be a chance to connect again, and people will see this. One also caveat, if you want to help make my life a tiny bit easier, it would be super helpful if you would add that to the beginning of your name, the code to your the beginning of your name. That's all from me, Marcos.
Yeah, awesome. Great. Awesome. So we are very, very grateful to thank our sponsors. So big thanks to the Tomiak Foundation as well as Classy. And then also thanks to our community partners. So our community partners in the nonprofit sector, they help spread the word. They're doing some really amazing work, and they end up sending their staff. So big thanks to our community partners. So we're going to dive in, and I'm going to hand it off to Jen, and we're going to hear from our speakers.
I am super honored to welcome the incredible Lakimja Mattocks, who has an extensive career in supporting nonprofits. And I mean, supporting nonprofits broadly. I feel like Lakimja, you probably would be the person who had the hardest time choosing like a specific group from the ones that we just did, because your career has really been about how do we amplify and support nonprofits. You've worked at she's worked at the support center. She now is the program officer for Nonprofit New York. So super grateful to have you and hear your insights. Welcome, Lakimja.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be with you all here this evening. As Jen mentioned, I'm Lakimja Mattocks from Nonprofit New York. I'm their Chief Programs Officer. And at Nonprofit New York, we're a membership association that works to strengthen and unite New York's nonprofits. And so we work with every issue area that has been listed this evening and then some. We have about 1,500 members just in New York City alone, and that also includes Westchester and Long Island. And so we believe that when your nonprofit is stronger, it strengthens the entire sector. And we work with the entire sector by providing learning and resources, trainings, cost benefits like insurance, which is important for all organizations because we have to cover our behinds, especially during these times. We also support with office supplies and back office support. And I'd like to add that we are also a part of a coalition of capacity building nonprofits in New York. So that's Candid, formerly known as Foundation Center, also Support Center, and 20 other nonprofit capacity builders in New York. And we refer to ourselves as ahead of the curve. For those of you who are looking to transition into the nonprofit sector, we have a job board where our membership organizations post opportunities to our job board. So if you are looking for a position, or you just want to browse and see what's available in the New York space from any of our members, be sure I'll drop the link for our job board during our conversation today. I noticed that our conversation kind of centered around how can we make the best impact? And I was thinking about this question, and I would like to share that I would like you to think about your values, what aligns with your personal mission, and connect with orgs that match your personal values and your personal mission, because you will end up doing your best work and also staying there the longest when there's a connection and alignment with your personal values and your mission. You also want to use platforms and connect with folks in spaces like the Nonprofit Connector, Be Social Change, and other networking opportunities that are out there via LinkedIn, via Facebook, Instagram even. Many organizations have created a space for their organization on Instagram, so you want to check them out there. And this is not only for the New York space, but also organizations across the nation need what you have to offer. And that goes beyond your values and your mission, but that speaks to your skills. There are skills that you've collected along the way that we need. So whether it's through your day-to-day work or volunteering for an organization, a phenomenal organization like Catch a Fire, we in the nonprofit sector can use the skill sets that you all have to do our best work and carry out the mission, not only of Nonprofit New York, but also the nonprofits across the nation, because you all represent organizations and spaces throughout the nation. That's what I have in this moment. I'm open to questions. I am a nonprofiteer like Jen. I've been working in this space for 16 years now. And I love every minute of the work that I do in the nonprofit space, especially at Nonprofit New York. So thank you so much for having me tonight. I am open to questions. I will drop our job board in the chat. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I've done many one-on-ones with folks from the Be Social Change space. So feel free. I'm open to like 15-minute chats just to think about how you want to utilize your skills and connect your values to the social impact work.
Thank you so much, Lakimja. Really appreciate your oversight of the nonprofit space, as well as the resources that you provide for organizations and individuals who are interested in getting further involved. If you have questions for Lakimja, drop them in the chat. She will be watching and able to respond. She'll be sticking around. And it's also my great pleasure to introduce Mike Slaughter from Classy.org, based out in San Diego. I will quickly share a story, which was that my career in the nonprofit realm was in fundraising, and I had worked for a number of different organizations trying to figure out, how do we engage more donors? How do we do smaller gifts? How do we make this work? And I finally found an organization that was doing peer-to-peer fundraising through Classy, who made it as simple and easy as humanly possible. So I've been a huge fan of their work ever since. I've definitely been like fangirling from afar, and I'm especially grateful to have them here tonight to share a couple of resources and to be facilitating our second a breakout group in our second round of networking around year-end giving, which is something that I know that's on everybody's mind. So please welcome Mike.
Jen, thank you so much for that awesome introduction. Like you, I was a fanboy before coming to Classy. I was an admirer from afar as a fundraiser myself and as a nonprofit professional. And I've been with Classy now for a little over 5 years, which in the nonprofit online fundraising space kind of makes me a dinosaur at the same company. I've seen Classy go from a small little company operating out of a basement in downtown San Diego to now having close to 200 employees. And we work with organizations, big and small, all over the place to help them raise more money for their missions and find success raising money online, connecting with their donors in a variety of really cool ways. So what I want to talk about tonight is the word unprecedented. And raise your hand or put something in Slack if you have heard or have been subjected to the word unprecedented, probably an unprecedented number of times this year. Yeah, it's wild, right? I mean, we're in really weird times. Not only are we dealing with a global pandemic, but we have an election right on our doorstep that is causing lots of people angst in every single direction. We are dealing with an unprecedented amount of civil unrest, and in the nonprofit world, we're kind of used to this, right? We're used to building the plane as we fly it and dealing with a variety of emotions all at once. I think, though, a lot of times the word unprecedented gets a really bad rap, right? It causes us to really stress out. Well, if something's unprecedented, it means that we haven't prepared for it. Unprecedented can also mean an unprecedented level of opportunity, though. I'll give you an example. So in the early days of the pandemic, many of you probably had the same experience. We all had to cancel in-person events like crazy. We were at the doorstep of spring fundraising season. Many of you probably had galas or in-person golf tournaments or things that were set up that you've been doing for years and years and years. They are kind of like the sacred cow for your organization, and you had to shift. There was one such organization, a partner of ours in Seattle, that had to shift really quickly. If all of you remember, Seattle was really kind of one of the first hotspots of COVID, and their gala was scheduled for March 23rd. They had to shift completely online over the course of 8 days. Not to mention, this gala was responsible for a majority of their annual fund revenue every single year. You don't cancel something like that. Otherwise, you'd have to fire your entire employee base, cancel programs. I mean, it would be devastating. Luckily, they shifted everything online, and they were able to use peer-to-peer fundraising to equip their top supporters and their board members with the tools to be able to go out there and fundraise for them. All that's to say, success is really, really possible in this environment, and it doesn't have to be overwhelming. There are tools available to give your supporters and your core fundraisers, give them storytelling tools to go out there and really tell your story for you. And so as we approach really the most crucial part of the year-end fundraising season, Giving Tuesday and December 31st, at Classy, we always kind of look at this as our Super Bowl and New Year's all wrapped up into one. It's usually a big party at the office. We won't be having an in-person party this year, but it'll probably be virtual. We've got a ton of resources to be able to lend to nonprofits. Whether you're a partner of ours or not, we consider the nonprofit space a really big tent, and we're all in this together. So we've got tons of free tools that we can send in your direction. We'd love to talk through what your plans are for the end of the year, and really looking forward to the conversation we're going to be having in these breakouts about what your plans are, how we can help, and just best practices that we've seen along the way. There's some really cool stuff out there, and it doesn't need to be scary. In fact, it's a huge opportunity. So, Marcus, Jen, thanks again for having us. We're so thrilled to be here, and can't wait to meet all of you in the breakouts.
Mike, thank you so much for sharing your comments about this. I got to do it. Unprecedented time. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And speaking of unprecedented, I got to say, having the Tomiak Foundation as our sponsors for the nonprofit connectors is one of my favorite things, because it makes me feel like Santa Claus every time to introduce the incredible Brad Bailyn, who's on the board of directors for the Tomiak Foundation, an organization that's literally here to pitch you to say, we're giving away money. Would you like some of it? So I don't know that there's like a better partnership in the world that we could have asked for. And I don't know that there's anybody who could be a better steward of that than Brad, whose work in the social impact sector is so broad. He works with nonprofits through the Tomiak Foundation. He's an incredible lawyer for social enterprises. Brad, I wish I could keep going about you because I have lots to say, but instead I'm just going to turn it over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Jen. I don't think I could ever speak as well about myself as you do, and I should deserve it. So, anyway, it's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be seeing everybody here tonight. Mike, you're an amazing speaker. I wish I could speak half as well. That's a tough act to follow. At any rate, Tomiak Foundation is a relatively new foundation. We're still getting our footing together the same way some of the nonprofits here are, and trying to find our own story and make our own direction. But there are some things that we know when we look for funding opportunities, which we are doing, such as that we want to help people in the community or in a different community, but particularly disadvantaged people. And 85% of the applications we get don't involve helping people who are disadvantaged in any way. So if you're out there tonight and you are directly doing something like that, then you definitely should reach out and consider applying. It'll have a little bit of priority. Secondly, we're looking for volunteers to do anything and everything. We're very open-minded. If you have an idea, this is probably the place to do it, because we're open-minded. We'll just try anything once, as long as it's legal and as long as it's fun. So seriously, like, if you have an idea, you should get in touch with us about it. In terms of, let's see, I'm sorry, I'm just looking down for a minute here. I'm looking at my list. There's two kinds of things that we like to fund. The first is major organizations. The reason for that is because they come with a large community of donors and supporters, and it raises the profile of the organization, and there's cool events, and a lot of good things come out of being involved with being a sponsor for large organizations. So if you're part of one, that's a possibility. The other thing is much newer nonprofits that need mentorship and support and stuff like that, because that makes me feel good to be smart money in a way and be providing something other than just a check and then vanishing off the face of the earth until next year. So, so if you actually do need some technical assistance and some things other than money, you should reach out as well. And, that's free, of course. That's pretty much it, unless anyone has any questions.
Brad, if they do have questions, we will post them in the chat. We'll make sure that you get them. And again, we just so appreciate you coming and supporting this Connector series, making it possible. Thanks for the work of the Tomiak Foundation and for being essentially Santa Claus on these nonprofit connectors.
Thank you, Jen.
And also just a big thanks to all of our speakers. There's going to be an opportunity to ask them questions. I actually have questions for all of them, and I kind of want to. I think there's going to be there's an opportunity for them to share some of the insights that they're seeing in the overall nonprofit sector. So there's definitely going to be some time for some Q&A afterwards. But until then, let's get into some networking and some connecting of people. So if you have not named yourself, feel free to rename yourself at the beginning. Go up to the little dot in your box, click rename, and then add the specific issue area in the front of your name. And then Jen is she's hard at work. She is going to be putting people into groups. So this is how we're going to do the facilitated networking. So when you're going to get a little notification from Zoom to enter breakout room, click yes or confirm whatever that message is, and then you're going to get put into the breakout rooms. So when you all are there, what you're going to do is you're just going to go around quickly and say, who are you and what do you do? And this is an exercise in effective networking. You're going to keep it to 10 to 15 seconds. Name and where you currently work or what you do and what you're passionate about. And then everybody has a chance, and then that's going to take about a minute and a half. And then what you can do is each person can go around and answer one or both of the questions, which is what's one insight you can offer others that are in your interest area, and what do you need to be successful? So this is kind of a give and take, right? So give and a give and an ask. So what's in one insight or a service or a resource that you can share with people in your group? And then what's one thing that you are looking to, that you may need help with or that you're looking for? Each person should go about 2 or 3 minutes. And then we're going to go around. So we'll be in each group for about probably 12 to 14 minutes. You're going to get a pop-up that's going to give you a countdown. So we'll do that throughout the breakout session, just so we'll be keeping time. Anything else? Was there anybody interesting that's doing awesome work that you wanted to share or give a shout out to? Was there an interesting resource that you found? Or if you have a resource that you want to share, feel free. This is a time to do that. Feel free to unmute yourself and share that. And we'll do this for about 2 to 3 people. So feel free to go ahead and unmute yourself. Hopefully there's a courageous person. It's always the first person.
I'll go.
Awesome. Who is it?
I was in international development, and my name's Rebecca. And I'm new to the field, and I got some really great advice from especially everyone I was with, because there was only 4 of us, including me. And I just learned a lot about things I didn't know and little networks I can tap into to try to get a job in it, because I currently am going to turn 26 in 3 weeks and I don't have health insurance and I need a job. So thank you all so much. I just want to say I appreciate you all.
Was there any specific tip?
Well, they're just not tip per se, but just there were just a slew of resources to check out for jobs and getting into the field. And I just want to say generally, it was just particularly helpful. So
awesome.
DevX, everyone suggested, and people also suggested just other resources to tap into in DC and communities I can be a part of that I didn't know about before.
Awesome. And if they're general communities, feel free to share those in the chat, either Rebecca or anybody in her group. Awesome. Love it. Who wants to be next to share? Feel free to go and unmute yourself.
I'm happy to share.
Right, Eddie.
Hi, all. So Kim Richardson, who shares so much knowledge specifically regarding grant writing, which is an area that, I'm going to be needing a lot of help in coming the next couple of months. So she shared a lot of her own insight and experience on it, even though she didn't really know what this event was about because it's her first time. She was definitely sharing a lot of value. So specifically, we talked about how certain communities or brown-led, black-led, organizations many times just don't have access to foundations that have bigger money, and therefore it's kind of like you don't know what doors to knock on, which limits you even knowing that money is accessible. So really great insight.
Awesome. And then thanks so much for sharing, Eddie. And as a side note, I added the screen share just so people, if you need to change your your name to roles, feel free to do that right now. So Jen can start breaking people out into groups. Does anybody else want to share a resource, an idea, or that they heard about, or even that they have for people in the community?
Hey, sure, Marcos?
Yeah, absolutely. Good to see you.
Same here. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Michael Whitnorth and Kim. I don't remember your last name. They're both doing wonderful work. They're both consultants for nonprofits, and I just feel it's kind of hard with the pandemic and what have you. And they just seem very on top of it, know their stuff, and just want to give a shout out to these two wonderful people that could be great resources for others.
Awesome. And if you want, thank you so much. And if the people that she just named, if you want to put your information in the chat, that would be great.
Is there a way to be able to connect with everyone here after the fact? Because I can't really think of it off the top of my head, but there are some things that I might want to share at some point.
Absolutely. If there's ones for individuals, so feel free, everybody who's putting their LinkedIn in the chat, we're going to be collecting them, and then we're going to be sending that up to in the follow-up email. So for those of you, we don't publish emails, but for those of you that want to connect, feel free to post your LinkedIn profile in the chat, and then we're going to collect all those.
Okay. Could we also provide a Facebook or an email?
Yeah, anything that you feel comfortable in terms of sharing. Yeah, for sure. We just don't publish them. Okay, awesome. So I would love, there's some questions that I have, and I'm going to throw it over to the classy people. And then we can hear, because Jen needs about one more minute, I'd love to hear, are there any other kind of trends that you're seeing in nonprofits when it comes to fundraising? You ended up pointing out, Mike, obviously, there are tons of people that were interested in galas, and they were probably using your platform in a number of different ways. Some nonprofits are wanting to reach out to donors who may be struggling at this time, and they would normally give. Are there any kind of trends that you're seeing or feedback that you're getting from some of the nonprofits you work with?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think it's really interesting what's going on right now, especially in the early days of the pandemic. We saw, for example, ticketed events plummet on the platform. People just weren't doing in-person get-togethers, which makes sense. However, all of that revenue for nonprofits, it didn't go anywhere. It just kind of reallocated itself to other avenues. So, things like peer-to-peer fundraising, crowdfunding campaigns, where there's a specific initiative or a specific program that an organization is trying to fund. I think by and large, the thing that we've seen is that the organizations that are finding success right now in this unprecedented time are the ones that can really clearly communicate the impact of every single gift and connect it back to how it's going to affect the end user of that or impact their mission in some way, shape, or form. So storytelling is more important now than ever. My mentor in development, not to take too much time, Jen, if you're ready, you can pull me at any second. I promise I won't be mad. But
this is great. This is great. Yeah.
But my mentor in development back when I was a gift officer always told me that nonprofit work is impact work, right? Like truly, that's what it comes down to. And development work is storytelling work. It's telling the story of that impact. The more you are able to connect the dots for people and help people feel really connected to your organization, the more impactful you're going to be. That's truly what our job is as fundraisers. So the rules haven't changed. It's all about relationships and building good relationships. And that's a trend that we've really seen, especially in the past several months, really kind of come to the forefront on the platform.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. For nonprofits and any kind of social impact organization, you really have to get your brand story. Do you have any resources that you recommend? Are there any resources that you have on classy.org or any resources that you recommend?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and share something right here in the chat. And you can always connect with us on LinkedIn as well. I've shared my LinkedIn, and I think there's a few other Class E folks here who've shared their LinkedIns. But we have a blog post up, 17 resources, ideas for planning your best Giving Tuesday yet. And we actually have a big clearinghouse of Giving Tuesday resources. They're
Awesome.
all free. I'll post that in the chat as well. But please, come in, use them. There's no strings attached. It's not some dicey sales pitch or anything like that. They're all for you to help find success. And we're happy to send those out to the community in any way, shape, or form.
Awesome. And then I think I'm going to give it away to Jen. Thanks so much, Mike.
Thanks.
Amazing. I love hearing about those resources. I'm also really excited to break you out into groups. There was one group that didn't have as many people volunteer, so I placed you in a different group. Hope that you all are excited for this next round. And if you have any issues, feel free to stick around this main session. I'll help you out. And in the meantime, enjoy your breakout group.
Was Leslie Gustafson. I might be saying it wrong, Gustafson. But she is like in operation. She's done project management in the past, and she had this cool job where she did like project management for theme parks, like for Disney and things like this for a few years. And now she wants to get into, philanthropy and all of, development and things like that. And she's really moving forward in terms of like trying to make that happen. And I just thought it was really awesome to hear how somebody with like two kind of different backgrounds, like putting both of those together, I think are going to make her like a really good, well-rounded professional. So I just kind of wanted to put that out there in case anyone needs her, because she sounds great.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. That was awesome. Thank you so much, Stephanie. And yeah, it sounds like Leslie's doing some really great work. Cool. Anybody else want to share?
Hi, I'm Kim, and I was in the development group, and it was a great group. I got some recommendations on how to improve our Giving Tuesday, which we haven't had much success with. And one of the resources that was mentioned that we haven't used before is crowdfunding. So I'm gonna look more into how to use crowdfunding for our Giving Tuesday.
Kim, crowdfunding couldn't be closer to my heart. I literally initiated a crowdfunding department in an old nonprofit, and I can tell you right now, it is absolutely worth the effort. If you ever want to talk about it, drop me a line. I'll include my email in the follow-up email, because I'm so glad that Classy is talking about that. Everybody should be talking about that. Crowdfunding is where it's at. Thank you, Classy. Thank you, Kim, for sharing.
Especially when you can attach some type of driver of urgency to the crowdfunding campaign. I think that's the really special thing about Giving Tuesday, is that it's almost like this. It is a philanthropic holiday. It's a time where it's on everybody's radar, and when you can put in something like a surprise matching gift or some type of like time-based. By the end of today, we will have funded X, Y, and Z special thing. You really deliver something special to those who are courageous enough to fund you. It's a really, really fun time to do a time-based campaign.
Absolutely awesome. And thanks for that extra insight, Mike. Anybody else want to share any insights, any resources, anybody cool that you met?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so as someone who is looking to start a nonprofit, I want to get my hands in there ASAP. And this is for me mentoring. So basically, I already have a name that I want to go with. I looked it up; it's available. So I'm kind of thinking, what are the first steps that I should kind of deal with without overwhelming myself? I'm thinking it's you have to incorporate, right? It would be an incorporation, kind of similar to if you were starting a business, you would go through a similar channel to do that, right? With the state.
I think Lakimja can tap into that. I think that there's Candid / the nonprofit, the Foundation Center, but do you want to take that away?
I was literally pulling up the assessment to drop the link in the chat. Candid has a great assessment that will like ask you a couple of questions about what you know versus what you don't know, and so it'll like spit out a report. And they use it's very simple: red, green, yellow. Green is like you're on target. Yellow, there's some more work to be done. And red, like be sure to check out these resources.
Right.
Before you continue to move forward in this area. And it'll pretty much, it's called the Nonprofit Startup Assessment Tool.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's super resourceful, pretty easy to follow along, and it connects you to resources.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And where are you located, Dana?
I'm in Queens, New York.
Okay. And then, so unfortunately, but fortunately, the Nonprofit New York only works with organizations that are established. So once you're established, then come check us out.
Right. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Go for it, Dana.
Candid, I know who they are. I get their emails. So basically, if I do this assessment, I can kind of see what the recommended steps are to, do the incorporation, get the 501c3. I'll see all that there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then another resource is Lawyers Alliance. They're pretty great with their pro bono, legal support to help start nonprofits as well. So
Lawyers Alliance.
Mm-hmm, and NILPI. So I'll drop those three in the chat: NILPI, Lawyers Alliance, and Candid.
And then we'll also post those in the follow-up email. And I know Jen wants to say something, but Dana, was that an ice cream truck in your background?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I could see. I could hear Mr. Frosty. Go ahead, Jen.
Memories.
Adrian, thank you so much, Lakimja, for fielding that question. I feel like we just saw magic. Dana, there's going to be like a moment next year this time when we're going to be like, this is when we saw the organization start. So thanks for including us all as a part of this. If anybody has anything else burning that they want to say, please take yourself off mute. In the meantime, I'm going to be really unfair for a second and put the one and only Johnny Immerman on the spot and ask him to share just in less than a minute, just the incredible work that he's doing. Because if you haven't seen the gallery view, Johnny is the one who's been smiling in a Zoom box this whole event. So Johnny, would you share about Close Talk?
Jay Lashansky, you're very generous, overly generous. Marcos, Jay, good to see you guys. Good to see everybody. You guys always run great events, bring good people together. So yes, in less than 40 seconds, thank you. I'm very flattered. I'm blessed to be a cancer survivor. I was 26, diagnosed with testicular cancer, went through chemo and surgeries. At the very end of treatment, a group of young survivors and I met at the hospital. We got together. We wanted to give back. We created a 501c3 nonprofit called Immerman Angels. It's a one-on-one peer mentor program where the angels like ourselves share our stories one-on-one to motivate somebody diagnosed with the exact same thing. We're lucky to have about 12,000 cancer survivors, about 100 countries, 9 full-time staff. We've been working for 15 years. It's been a long grind. It's been hard, but we got the word out for it by making T-shirts that took us years to figure out, sort of black and white, got the logo, inspired our friends to rock it. The more people talked about it in downtown Chicago, the more survivors joined us, the more impact. And now we run a social impact venture called Close Talk, CLOZtalk.com. We have 250 nonprofits that are on our directory. It's a vetted directory, all 501cs. We build them a free Shopify store. We don't charge them anything. We design their apparel for them, from hats to yoga pants. And we drive traffic and go to companies that help sponsor them and try to get more people to buy and support and rock their logos to get the word out so they can have more impact. Sorry, that was maybe a little longer than I should have.
That was beautiful and perfect. Thank you so much for sharing, Johnny. Really, truly love your work. And I think it's a great resource for nonprofits as well. Please go check it out. Close Talk. If you want to drop a link in the chat, that would be awesome. And thanks for letting me put you on the spot like that.
You guys are awesome. Keep up the good work. It's always a pleasure meeting great people. It's a great community.
Thank you so much, Johnny. And I think that should be it to wrap things up, Jen.
Yeah.
I guess one other thing that I wanted to leave some space for is if anybody had any questions for our speakers. Lakimja gave some really great resources. So did Classy. Just wanted to open up, see if anybody had any questions, or just kind of, just in general. Dana had a great question. See if anybody else had any questions.
And if you have a question, feel free to write it in the chat. We'll collect the questions. We'll make sure it gets to the right source. We'll support in answering. In the meantime, before we sign off, we got to talk about what's coming up, right, Marcos?
Absolutely. So we have some awesome events coming up. I'll kick it off to Jen.
The CSR Spotlight is an event where we're going to hear from leaders in the field about the impact that they are making. I am also personally super psyched about this one because the one and only Chobani is going to be speaking, as well as a representative from a really cool law firm. We are working on getting someone from Kroger's there as well. It's going to be a great conversation. And if you are not familiar with CSR, corporate social responsibility, it's a really beneficial tool also for nonprofits. Chobani partners with dozens of nonprofits to ensure there's refugee and immigrant rights across the world. Check them out. It'll be a fun conversation on the 28th.
Awesome. So the next one is on October 28th, we're going to have the future of social impact media. So obviously over the past kind of 5 years, there's been some huge transition when it comes to media in general. We're also going to be talking about specific organizations that are focusing specific on social impact media, meaning just as Classy pointed out earlier, creating stories and narratives to show all the amazing work that social impact organizations, nonprofits, social enterprises, and governments are making. And what's the state? How can media be used as a force for good, as opposed to just simply just focusing on the negative things that are happening out there? So we're going to be having that on October 28th.
An essential tool for nonprofits that actually came up on the awesome webinar that Classy hosted for us last week called Create a Standout Fundraising Campaign, Create a Standout Virtual Fundraising Campaign, is Google Ad Grants. Literally, Google gives every single 501c3 $10,000 worth of free SEO resources. If you are not fully taking advantage of this resource, meaning like it's sort of just happening on its own, or you're not even aware of it, check out this webinar on November 12th. We're hosting it for nonprofits. It's going to be a really good one.
And then the last event we'll talk about is we are going to end the year with our social impact holiday connector. So similar to this nonprofit connector, but we're going to be bringing the entire social impact space together, from social enterprises to B Corps to CSR, nonprofit, sustainability, and everybody in between, government, politicians. So to connect and share and partner just like this. So this is an opportunity for us to reflect back on all the craziness, but also all the positive things that have happened in 2020, and then look ahead to see how we can collectively make an impact in 2021. So that's December 2nd.
Major thank you. Oh my God, to the Tomiak Foundation. We love partnering with you. Again, we are going to send out the information in the follow-up email. Get in touch with them. As Brad said, they're open to all applicants, especially if you work with underserved communities. Definitely reach out. Regardless, reach out. They're awesome. A huge, massive thank you to Classy. Oh my God. It sounds like a productive conversation in your breakout group. Mike, we so appreciated your conversation, your remarks. I'm really grateful to have you, and thanks for making this event possible. And also a major thanks to Lakimja, our awesome speaker. It was great to have you. And I just want to close out tonight by quickly inviting everyone here, if you have not already done so, to become a Be Social Change member. You have gotten a taste of the awesome community that we have. We're so grateful to be a part of this really vibrant social impact network and to be continuing to build it. Would love to have you as a member. If you are a member, please go ahead and join. Please go ahead and shout out in the chat your experience. We love hearing it. Honestly, it makes our day. And it's only $5 a month or $49 a year. We keep it purposefully affordable because we know that social impact work means oftentimes taking a cut on your income. And for that reason, we really want to just ensure that you have the resources that you need, as Marco said, to make your greatest impact in your career and life. And I have another invitation for you, which is to help build the movement. If you enjoyed tonight's event, please invite a friend, share out the follow-up email with others, send out our newsletter to somebody who you think that might be interested in either social impact work, that's work in a nonprofit, social enterprise, government, any field, or who's just interested in living more sustainably or living with greater impact. please help us build the movement. We rely on word of mouth to grow what it is that we're doing. And we're hoping to ensure a future where every job is a social impact job and every organization is a social impact organization. So thank you for already being a part of it. And thank you, Dana, for sharing with a friend. I saw that in the chat. Thank you all for the love. This is really just so incredible, and want to wish you a great rest of your night. Have a wonderful evening. We're going to stick around for like 2 minutes just so people can wrap up any conversations in the chat. If you haven't placed your LinkedIn in there, go for it, and have a great rest of your night.
And thank you, just kind of quickly, thank you again, Mike, team, all the team at Classy. Thanks, Lakimja, as well as Brad. You all are doing amazing work. And then everybody who joined us tonight. I know that we all want to make a positive contribution to the world. I know that has changed based on the avenues have changed based on everything that's happening in 2020. But I think everything that's happening in 2020 is providing us an opportunity to rethink and reimagine how us individually as well as collectively we can make a positive impact and make the world a better place. So thank you all for joining us tonight. We'll put on some music. Feel free to post some things in the chat, and we will see you at the next Be Social Change event. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks all. You guys are rock stars.
Thank you. We love Classy.